Want me to quote you on size instead of time? Okay, you can pay more. I am a storefront window painter. I typically give quotes for jobs based on supplies and time to do the job. I recently had a business owner ask for a mildly simple design on a small window and gave her the price of $150 and did the job. The business next door wanted a very simple design on bigger windows, and so I did the job for $250. After I painted, they didn't like my price and wanted me to charge by square foot instead of complexity and time. I had them sign a contract stating the price per square foot regardless of design and that payment was due immediately. Then I measured the windows and the price came out to $500, made for a nice Christmas bonus.
Now to the comments. Maybe I'm in the wrong kind of art. I love that they signed the contract first without even guesstimating.
OP replied. Me too. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Did you tell them how much you appreciated the renegotiation? I run into similar situations as a welder. I had a lady ask me to make her a cross with only horseshoes and no visible welds. Easy enough. But she didn't want used shoes, she wanted new, so I gave her the price of each option. She insisted on new. When I gave her the final price, she agreed. I make this thing, then she backs out as I'm delivering it at no extra charge, so I ended up putting it up on my FB page for sale plus shipping if needed. I made an extra $200 on that thing, so the lady called me like a week later wanting her cross. I enjoyed telling her I sold it and made a nice profit on it. This is less malicious compliance and more petty revenge. But still.
You should have said, I can make a new one, but it costs $200 more and pay in advance because you backed out once.
Absolutely 1,000 times this. People who know nothing about art trying to determine the cost of art will never not be both frustrating and hilarious.
OP replied. Exactly, they are paying for the time I spent learning how to do this quickly and effectively.
But it only took you 5 minutes. Could you have done this in 5 minutes? No, I can't paint. That's why I hired you. Exactly. This reminds me of my uncle that combines other farmers' crops. He charges by the acre, but one guy insists it be by the hour. Now my uncle figures it out to about the same, but this guy generally has better than average crops and thus takes longer to harvest. Even after telling him this, he still wants to pay more.
OP replied. Let him LOL.
I was a subcontract for a video job with an investment firm earlier this year. The person facilitating it and I settled on a price based on what the company was paying her. Her and I had a contract for a certain amount of money, but for some reason she didn't get one from the firm. So, after I was about 3/4 of the way through editing 40 short videos for them, they said they weren't paying her as much as they originally promised because they just pay me directly, and instead of the flat rate I usually charge for a project of that size, they wanted hourly. I was not impressed. But when the time came to send them the invoice, it ended up being about $800 more for them to charge hourly than what I had originally agreed upon with the other person. She was a friend, so I was doing her a favor. They had no clue until she accidentally let it slip what I was charging her. They threatened to take me to court over it. Sent me a big long email about it. I just responded, you decided to change the deal by cutting her out. You wanted to pay my hourly rate, so you did. I'm happy to highlight the emails you sent regarding this. Only time I heard from them after that was asking me to do all their social media posting because they couldn't figure out how to download the videos and then post them. Business went under 6 months later and they never even used the videos.
LMAO. Did they pay you?
Yep. Got the full amount. It wasn't until a few weeks later that they realized they paid me way more than I was going to work for. That's when the legal threats happened. What? You charged them money? You should have done it for free. Think of all the exposure and likes you would have gotten.
OP replied. Right. How dare I charge for work? My exposure will definitely pay for groceries.
Google says that grocery stores are strictly against exposure due to COVID epidemic. Dang. This is why I never give employees shit about riding the clock or leaving early. You did your work? You did it correctly? I won't get yelled at for your duck-ups? Awesome, here's your pay, go home and chill. Had a guy power wash my house, he did in 2 hours what would have taken me all day. Awesome, here's your check. If the job is done right, then I don't give a shit about how long it took. I'll even pay more if something unexpected comes up. If it ain't done right though, they hear about it until I'm blue in the face or get money back.
OP replied. I require the owner to be in person to approve the design when I am done. If they don't love the design, then I am not done until they do.
Did you intentionally choose a price per square foot that you knew would go higher than your regular rate, or did you use some standard price that happily worked out to more? They deserve what they got either way. Just curious how much this was planned vs coincidence.
OP replied. I just went with $10 per square foot because I was tired and wanted to get paid and go. She agreed to it. Happy coincidence, it worked in my favor.
You are my inspiration. My family owned a restaurant and we paid our artist $7,000 to do a mural that was 15 feet by 30 feet, took him a month to paint. He could have charged us more but said we treated him so kindly and gave us a discount. We gave the man free meals during his project and ended up being a close family friend.
OP replied. Treat artist well and we discount and remember.
Yay. Honestly, it's just nice to be around nice and genuine people. Wow. Well done. I'm glad you got your money's worth. Are you going to move forward with a standard contract for your jobs now?
OP replied. My basic contract is 50% upfront and the rest due upon completion. I pay myself well based on time and don't like having to charge more for bigger windows when the time to paint is no different than smaller windows.
You sound like a smart and reasonable person. I like that. What I hate is when the client says it's an easy job. Shouldn't take too long. It takes as long as it takes. The actual job cost $10 an hour, plus $90 an hour for the 40 years it took me to learn it. Could you imagine being so cheap as to try to haggle over a few bucks in price, while also so stupid as to not run the math to see if you are going to save money? Charging by the square foot makes no sense anyway. You could probably do a giant candy cane or whatever pretty quickly, but a tiny intricate design that takes 10 times as long should be 1/10 the price. I've found that things like this boil down to the 2/3 rule. There are 3 primary aspects to every job. 1. Quality. 2. Time. 3. Price. The customer can pick 2 of the 3, in most situations.
OP replied. Exactly.
Never assume you know more than the person you are paying to do a job. Usually doesn't work out in your favor. Haha, yes. Business. Painting costs money, design costs money, cheap bastard priceless. My mind went straight to the gutter when I read that title.